During a life-changing mission, a SEAL captain discovered an incredible combat pilot among them. Captain Jack Lawson stepped onto the porch of his childhood home, the evening sun casting a golden hue over the Wisconsin countryside. It felt like stepping back in time, yet so much had changed. The old swing creaked softly as he settled into it, bracing himself against the weight of his past, both as a man and as a soldier. The air was thick with memories, and the sweet scent of lilacs reminded him of simpler days, days that felt far away now. He watched the neighbors across the way gather, preparing for the Memorial Day barbecue, a town tradition to honor those who laid down their lives. Laughter rang out, but beneath it lay an undertone of sorrow and struggle. Jack thought of Charlie, the local veteran who had devoted himself to the community before the war had claimed him. His absence rippled through the town. Jack felt the tightness in his chest as he thought of all the sacrifices wrapped in the American spirit of duty. As the shadows grew longer, Jack's mind drifted to his father, once a vibrant, unyielding military man whose approval he had endlessly chased. The expectations hung over him like a heavy storm cloud. Would he ever be good enough in his father's eyes? Jack shook his head, determined to focus on the mission that loomed ahead, a mission that felt simultaneously terrifying and exhilarating. Just then, his phone buzzed with a message from the SEAL team. It was almost time for him to head out, but he lingered, soaking in the essence of his childhood. Every porch swing, every crack in the sidewalk, each was a reminder of who he was before the weight of duty took root in his heart. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. The next morning, Jack arrived at the base, the energy buzzing with anticipation. He met Maya Rodriguez, a young woman with fierce determination sparkling in her eyes. A blend of confusion and admiration erupted among the veterans as they watched her interact effortlessly, flipping the script of traditional gender roles. Jack found her spirited banter refreshing, yet it provoked a discomfort among some, whispers filling the air like a dark cloud looming overhead. Then, during a training exercise, disaster struck. A near-fatal incident forced Jack to confront his own biases head-on. As he pulled Maya from harm's way, his heart raced, realizing the true depth of her skills. It shook him to his core. Trust and team cohesion seemed more fragile than ever, now more than an obligation. Their survival depended on overcoming long-held prejudices. Just as the stakes ratcheted up, a heartfelt letter from Maya's mother surfaces, detailing her sacrifices and dreams for her daughter. Jack felt that lingering question claw its way into the forefront. Would they come together, unified as they prepared for battle, or would they crumble under the weight of their own divisions? The horizon beyond was murky, but within that uncertainty shimmered a gleam of hope. The sun rose higher, swathing the base in a harsh light that felt anything but comforting. Captain Jack Lawson sat at the table in the mess hall, surrounded by his team, but it felt like an island of isolation. Conversations flowed sporadically, laughter mingling with the clatter of trays. Yet, Jack's thoughts remained anchored on the training rounds he watched unfold yesterday. Maya sat across from him, her presence radiating an energy that warmed the room. She laughed easily, throwing a joke at one of the older veterans, but Jack noticed how his gaze lingered on her. There was something dazzling about the way she handled herself, how her confidence shone so brightly that it almost lit up the somber surroundings. Still, with the shouts from the past echoing in his mind, the whisper of doubt grew louder. "Hey, Captain." Maya's voice pierced his thoughts. "Huh?" He shook his head, trying to find focus in a chaotic mind. "You all right?" she asked, concern etched across her features. "You've been quiet." "Just thinking about the mission," he said, a half-hearted smile lifting the corners of his mouth. Maya raised an eyebrow. "You mean thinking about how many hours we have to drill before the sun goes down?" He chuckled. "Maybe a bit of both. From a distance, the sounds of a helicopter whirring overhead brought them back to reality. The heaviness of their upcoming deployment loomed like a gathering storm. They had trained together, but the connection still felt fragile, teetering on the edge of fear and excitement. Bringing a team together was more than just tactical drills. It required heart, understanding, and a real acceptance of differences. As the day progressed, Jack found himself growing more animated in their discussions, but with each banter exchanged, he felt tension knotting his stomach. The mission known only as Operation Titan was set to challenge everything they believed about teamwork and camaraderie. Jack looked around, assessing his team members. They were good. Talented. But he couldn't shake the feeling that the real challenge lay in convincing them to look past the surfaces. All of them. That evening, as they prepared for what was to come, Jack called for a briefing. The team gathered in the dimly lit room, faces scattered with shadows, each person wearing their battle gear like a second skin. A weighty silence fell. "We need to dig deeper than skill," Jack began, feeling the intensity of their gazes. "In the air, out there, it's about trust. The kind of trust that's not born overnight." He paused, searching for more than just words. "Some of you might feel uncertain about working with a female pilot, but I ask you to look beyond. She's more than capable. You've seen her." Maya stood silently by his side, and Jack noticed how the air shifted slightly at her presence, a new current of strength forming. "We're heading into a fight together. And I can tell you with complete certainty it's not just your life on the line. It's ours. All of us." He watched as eyes turned to Maya, a mixture of apprehension and gradual acceptance blooming. He had planted the seeds of doubt, but now, it was time to nurture them with belief. As discussions broke out, Jack felt a flicker of hope. Maybe this was transformation in action. Later, as he lay on his cot, sleep eluding him, Jack thought of the fragility of their bond. The final preparations loomed ahead, but something deeper clawed at him. It wasn't just about duty anymore. Each team member carried their own battles, their own stories. What would they uncover together? Would trust truly take root, or would the shadows still linger, waiting to snuff out the light? As dawn broke, uncertainty mingled with the fresh breeze that streamed through the barracks. Jack knew a storm was coming. But he also felt the growing strength in the team, a pulse of potential waiting to be unleashed on the day that lay ahead. What awaited them in the skies above? Would they soar together or falter? Jack stood up early, the sun barely cresting the horizon. The bright, fiery orb felt like it was challenging him to rise, ready to push beyond whatever was to come. The air was still cool, cradling the base in a delicate hush. He pulled on his gear, each fastener clicking into place, grounding him in the right mindset. "Hey! You ready for today?" Maya's voice floated in from the doorway, her ponytail swinging like a flag as she entered. "Not sure if anyone can ever really be ready for this," he replied, forcing a light tone. But beneath his bravado, nerves skittered in his stomach. "Just think of it as another drill," she said, her confidence thickening the space between them. "We've got each other's backs." For a moment, that light feeling bloomed again inside him. She had a gift for instilling courage. Jack grinned. "We're in this together, right?" "Always," Maya said, her smile lighting up her face. They moved out to the tarmac, where the helicopters were dormant, seemingly waiting for their signal to spring to life. Jack glanced at his team, feeling the weight of responsibility settle even heavier than before. He noticed uneasy faces, boots shifting nervously on the ground, a markedly different energy than what he had seen in drills. "Team," Jack called, trying to sound confident. "I know Operation Titan has a lot of us on edge. But I need you to understand today isn't just about the mission. It's about us." He paused, taking a deep breath as he looked into their eyes, drawing determination from the depths of his own. "Maya might be new to this air support role, but she has trained alongside you every step of the way. I trust her. We all need to trust her." The murmurs among his team ebbed and flowed like the gentle breeze, a mixture of doubt and budding acceptance. Maya steeled herself, her eyes scanning the crowd with a fierce determination. "Listen, everyone," she said, stepping forward. "I know you might see me differently, but I'm ready. We're all professionals here." Her voice held an edge, a mix of challenge and reassurance. "And all I need is your trust. I know we can do great things together. Just let me show you." Jack felt a swell of pride and something deeper. The team was slowly shifting, receiving the vulnerability and strength Maya projected. But that flicker of hope he had felt earlier danced nervously within him. Was it enough? They climbed into the helicopters one after the other. The vibrations hummed beneath Jack's skin, igniting adrenaline in his veins. He couldn't help but glance at Maya, who looked serene, her eyes locked on the horizon as if she was already envisioning their success. With the blades whirling into action, reality felt like a dream. Jack gripped the controls and focused, shifting his attention outward instead of inward. He had to lead his team through the chaos ahead. As they glided into the sky, the world below shrank. The clouds embraced them, a canvas of white and blue, a reminder of the weightlessness of flight. But battle wasn't something that obeyed the laws of comfort. As they approached the target zone, tension spiked. Jack could almost hear the heartbeat of the team weaving together as anxiety mixed with anticipation. Then, the radio crackled. "Contact. Enemy units detected in the area." Jack's pulse raced. This was at the moment they had trained for. He glanced over at Maya, who met his gaze, resoluteness etched into her features. Everything hinged on that split-second decision. It was a battlefield, and trust was now a weapon. "Let us show them what we've got," Jack shouted, feeling the electric rush of determination coursing through him. But even as they dived into battle, he felt a flicker of doubt creeping in. What if this was the moment everything unraveled? An unsteady breath escaped him as the roars of conflict enveloped them. Could they overcome chaos, or would it fracture their unity? As the first shots rang out, Jack braced himself for the storm ahead, realizing this mission would redefine every line drawn in the sand. Would they rise above and cement their bond, or fall apart when it mattered most? The deafening roar of the helicopters filled the air, drowning out any thoughts of doubt. Jack's hands tightened around the controls, heart pounding in sync with the rapid-fire sounds of gunfire below. Maya was at the ready, a determined look in her eyes that mirrored his own resolve. "Pilot. We'll need fast entry. Stay sharp." Jack shouted over the noise, battling to maintain focus. He could sense the change in atmosphere among his team, a mixture of fear and adrenaline electrifying the air around them. "Eyes front. We're moving in." Maya's voice rang clear through the comms, a beacon guiding them deeper into the chaos. Jack felt a spark of relief knowing she was with him, her presence grounding him amidst the storm. As they banked sharply to avoid incoming fire, the world outside swirled in a blur of colors and chaos. The landscape below was marred by black smoke and flashes of fire, a grim reminder of the stakes at hand. Jack fought to steady the helicopter, metering each maneuver, feeling every bump like a punch in the gut. "We're losing altitude. Adjust." Someone yelled from the back, panic creeping into the voice. "Hold it together." Jack shouted back, forcing calm into the chaos swirling around them. "We'll climb again, just stick with me." He could see Maya darting her head around, relaying information, tracking the enemy positions, maintaining her cool in the storm of confusion. The thought of her trust in him steadied his breath. Could this mission become a turning point not just for him but for her too? A sudden jolt as a bullet grazed the side of the helicopter sent vibrations through Jack's bones, but he pushed it aside. "Get those defensive shots ready," he ordered, his voice louder now, battling against the noise. "Got it. Cover us," Maya called in response, eyes flashing with fierce determination. Jack pushed forward, leaning into the fight. Every instinct screamed at him to protect his team, and he felt every heartbeat, every breath hanging on the precipice of survival. This wasn't just about the mission anymore, it was about each of them, about trust forming in the smoke and ashes. Now. Keep those guns firing. He commanded, sweat dripping down his temple as he guided them into position. The chopper reverberated with the force of gunfire, a relentless rhythm that pushed back against the chaos below. Moments felt like hours as the world around them became an echo of gunfire and shouts. And yet, buried in that storm, Jack found clarity. This was where they would prove themselves not as individuals but as a force united. Jack. We need to break through. Maya positioned herself calmly, eyes glued to the monitors, coordinating movements while maintaining communication. I'm on it. He shot back, adrenaline boiling in his veins, sweat dripped down his brow as the helicopter rumbled, his tongue dry as he fought the fear threatening to creep back in. They burst through a cloud of smoke. For a split second, they were airborne spirits above the madness, the weight of uncertainty lifting, replaced by a singular purpose. Objective in sight. Jack bellowed, renewed vigor in his voice. But then, without warning, the radio crackled again. Mayday. Bravo team is down. We need support. Jack's heart sank. The urgency to respond surged like a tidal wave. We can't leave them behind. We have to go. Hold on. We're almost there, Maya urged, her face now a mask of determination. But deep within Jack, the flicker of doubt re-emerged. What if he wasn't enough? What if this was the moment everything unraveled? Keep your eyes sharp and trust each other. Jack yelled into the chaos, feeling the weight of responsibility pressing heavily against his chest. With their bond tested, they soared deeper into the heart of danger. Jack gripped the controls tighter, each twist and turn calling for something beyond just skill, something rooted in loyalty and courage. Would they emerge from this battle forged stronger, or would the flames of doubt consume them? As the thunder of combat raged on, another message came through, igniting a new fear. We've lost connection with the ground team. Jack's knuckles whitened as he realized the stakes were higher than he ever imagined. How would they find their way back now? The helicopter swayed violently as bullets rained around them, each impact resonating through the metal like a warning bell. Jack fought to maintain control, his senses acutely tuned to the chaos engulfing them. He could feel his heart pounding in rhythm with the thrumming engines, sweat mixing with the adrenaline coursing through his veins. Maya, any visual on Bravo? We need coordinates now. Jack barked, peering through the cockpit as he tried to spot any remnants of the fallen team. Working on it. She replied, fingers dancing across the screens in front of her. Her intense focus steadied his nerves, despite the mayhem outside. The camaraderie they had built trusted them to fight through this together. Jack, I can't get anything. The smoke is too thick. Maya's frustration broke through, thickening the tension in the cramped cabin. Damn it. His jaw tightened as another round of gunfire rattled their craft. We can't just fly blind. We have to find them. Just then, a flicker of movement caught Jack's eye below, a shadow darting through the debris. There. That looks like a safe zone. He adjusted their course, heart racing as the helicopter lurched towards the sound of gunfire fighting fueled by desperation. The turbulent air whipped around them. Hold tight. Jack shouted, barreling the helicopter closer to the ground. He could sense Maya's unease as he maneuvered through tighter spots. Not too low. Maya warned, but there was a steel in her voice that matched his resolve. They were in this together. In a fleeting moment, the noise outside dulled as all he could hear was the steady beating of his heart. This wasn't just about the mission anymore, it was about saving lives, about choosing connection over fear. He felt Maya's presence next to him, a reminder that they were stronger as a unit. Ready on the guns. Prepare for a hot drop. Jack shouted, clenching his teeth as he prepared to land. Just give me the word. Maya called back, aligning her sights on the first wave of gunmen lurking to ambush them. They hit the ground hard, and the helicopter shuddered violently. Jack barely had time to pull the craft into a hover before they were engulfed in the sound of gunfire. Maya swung her weapon out, lining her sights perfectly. Now. As the first shot fired, Jack felt a surge of hope. This was what they had trained for, this was their moment. Move, move, move. Jack urged, eyes flicking to the door where he could see members of Bravo team, silhouetted against the flames. They were wounded but alive. Covering fire. Maya shouted, her voice steady even as the chaos swirled around them. Each shot she took brought down an enemy and allowed Jack the opening he needed to maneuver closer to the trap team. Jack's hands were steady on the controls, but inside, he felt the weight of his choices. If he lost anyone today, it was more than just a failed mission, it would break the fragile bonds they built in shared hardship. Grab them. Maya yelled as Jack opened his heart to the possibility of loss. Everyone he cared about was here in this moment, fighting for their lives. They caught sight of one of Bravo's surviving members, struggling to crawl away from the oncoming enemy. Get him. I've got your back. Jack shouted, shifting perspective as adrenaline rose in his throat. Maya nodded, continuing to lay down suppressive fire. I see him. I see him. Go. Jack felt a rush of determination. With a powerful pivot, he brought the helicopter closer to the ground, just where the soldier was stranded. But then, everything shifted in an instant. A blast of gunfire erupted, and a sharp cry pierced the air. Maya! Jack yelled, turning just in time to see her having been hit, crumpling against the console. Stay focused, Jack. Get him. Go. She gasped, blood seeping from her side. Time slowed as he felt dread creep in, but it ignited an even fiercer resolve within him. He couldn't lose her. Hold on, Maya. I'm coming. Jack's gut twisted as he realized he had to fight like never before. Each moment stretched as he battled the tide of fear, every second pulling at his sanity. What would he do if he couldn't save her? Would the mission even matter then? As he powered the helicopter forward, determination blazed anew. He wasn't just protecting his team, he was fighting for her life. Would they escape the flames, or was this where their story would end? The answer loomed ahead, trembling in uncertainty. Jack's heart thundered in his chest as he felt the intensity of the moment swell. With a grimace, he focused on the task at hand, pushing aside the panic that threatened to swallow him whole. Maya needed him now more than ever. Hang on. He called, gripping the controls tighter. The chopper bucked slightly, but he maintained its precarious hover, eyes locked on the Bravo member fighting desperately against the ground. Time felt like a rubber band stretched taut, ready to snap. The soldier Corporal Harris was just inches from safety, visibly gasping for his next breath as he fought the instinct to freeze in despair. Jack felt his resolve shatter with every second that ticked away. Come on, buddy. Jack shouted, his voice raw with urgency. I want to let you go. Maya's breath was shallow, each one a struggle. She raised her weapon again. Jack. I'll try to cover you. Get him. He jerked the helicopter back a few feet, searching for the right angle to swing the door open safely without exposing them to another wave of fire. The din of gunfire was increasingly chaotic, mingling with the thumping of his heart. Every time he glanced back at Maya, her pale face haunted him. It drove him forward with fierce determination. As Jack swung the door wide, he caught sight of Harris. Grab on. He yelled, extending his hand out over the mouth of the helicopter. Harris's eyes flashed with a mix of fear and relief, his fingers trembling as they reached for Jack. Almost there. Just a little closer. Jack gritted his teeth, pulling forward, just as a burst of gunfire lit up the air around him. Maya was still firing. Jack could hear the sharp crack of each bullet and the sickening thuds of them finding targets. But he couldn't lose his focus on Harris. The world around him fell away into chaotic stillness. They were locked in this moment, and he wouldn't let anything tear them apart. The soldier struggled and finally lunged. Just as his fingers grazed Jack's, another shot rang out, a flash of light followed by life-draining silence. Pull him in. Maya yelled, Desperation mounting in her voice, with adrenaline surging, Jack yanked Harris aboard, yanking him hard enough that the soldier tumbled back into the cabin. The impact jolted them both, but Jack didn't hesitate. He hit the throttle, pulling the helicopter upward but keeping the door open for Maya. Maya! Now! Get in! Panic spilled into his voice, but he fought to steady himself. He couldn't lose her. Not after everything they had been through. I'm coming. Maya gritted, her breath ragged. She tried to fire again but faltered, her strength waning. Jack felt a wave of desperation wash over him. I will not let this end here. With a final push of resolve, he swung the helicopter back slightly closer to her. Jump! I've got you! He shouted as loud as he could, every ounce of hope thrusting life into those words. Maya staggered but pushed through the pain. On 3. Now! Jack shouted as she leaped. He caught her barely and pulled her into the cabin, feeling the weight of her body against him. But before he could breathe, another shot rang out, pinging off the metal. Maya! Are you okay? Jack's voice was frantic, hands trembling as he examined her wound. But she forced a grin through gritted teeth, pain etched on her features. What do you think? He felt relief wash over him but also dread. They needed to escape now. A quick glance out the door showed an onslaught of enemies still raging below. He was running out of time. Brace for impact! Jack shouted, pushing them higher and spinning the helicopter. He could feel their wild momentum, chaos folding in around them. I can't hold much longer, Jack. Maya's voice was blurred, her energy fading, pulling him from the haze of his own focus. I know. Just keep your eyes on the horizon. We'll get out of this. As they climbed higher, the weight of the flames below flickered like demons waiting. The night sky felt like a canvas of despair, but Jack's determination flared like a beacon. What began as a mission to recover a lost team morphed into a rescue, igniting a fierce spirit within him. He couldn't give in to despair, not now, but the weight of uncertainty loomed overhead, growing heavier, as the enemy's fire intensified. How many lives would they need to save before they could break free? Hold on tight, everyone! Jack yelled, heart pounding as they pushed toward the limits of their endurance. With the sound of heartbeats echoing louder than the helicopter's engines, he wondered if the next moment would be their last, or the dawn of a new beginning. Would they break free, or would fate claim them in the flames below? The sheer force of the helicopter whipped around them, chaos still buzzing in Jack's mind. Every second felt like an eternity, and with the sky ablaze behind them, the reality of their escape was a frail thread in a storm. He fought to maintain direction, pulse racing as he focused ahead, gripping the controls like a lifeline. Maya, please focus. Jack called out, stealing a quick glance at her. Her breath came in labored gasps, but her eyes held a fierce spark. We need to gain altitude. She raised her gun again, ignoring her wounds. I'll cover our 6. Just keep flying. Her determination resonated through his fog of anxiety. She was still fighting, still holding on. Jack turned his gaze forward, mind racing. Okay, he needed a strategy, and fast. They couldn't just ascend infinitely while the enemy was relentlessly aiming at them. He needed to outsmart them. His heart thundered as he suddenly spotted a ridge to their east, a potential escape route. There. Do you see it? He pointed, his voice clear with urgency. We can make it to that ridge. It'll give us cover to rally and rethink our approach. Harris, now visibly exhausted, nodded. Let us do it, sir. The determination in his voice ignited Jack's resolve, but as they veered toward the ridge, the ground exploded with fire. Gunshots rang like thunder, rattling the chopper. Jack felt a jolt and impact, a quick flash of panic. Jack! Maya shouted, the urgency in her voice slamming into him. Hold on. He steadied the aircraft, fighting against the sudden turbulence. But the weight of the world pressed against him, the risk of losing them clung heavy in his chest. They were in a dance with danger, and he couldn't afford to falter. "Get ready!" he shouted as he made a sharp turn, closing in on their temporary haven. A small valley opened up below them, providing just enough cover to land without being fully exposed. "Now!" Jack yelled as he descended swiftly, skimming the treetops in a flurry of underbrush and blades of grass. The helicopter landed hard, jolting everyone inside. Jack quickly killed the engines, the sudden silence ringing in his ears. Breathing heavily, he looked at Maya. "Are you with me?" "Of course I am," she shot back, though the breathiness betrayed her weakening strength. Blood trickled down her arm, but her grit shone like a beacon. "It's going to be okay." Jack forced the reassurance even as doubt clustered in his mind. They had a brief respite, but they had to act fast. "All right, everyone out." Harris pushed the cabin door open, and Jack scrambled out first, his instincts kicking in. He could already hear the thrums of enemy movement nearby. They huddled around the helicopter, but Jack's eyes were scanning the surrounding woods. "We need cover first. Let us regroup and tend to Maya if we find a safe space." "Let us go, Bravo!" Harris shouted, leading the charge toward the dense cover of trees. Jack followed closely, mind racing with each pounding step as they plunged into the unfamiliar greenery. The woods provided an eerie silence, broken only by the distant echoes of chaos, gunfire, shouting, the roar of helicopters above. Each sound twisted Jack's heart tighter. As they pushed deeper into the trees, he caught sight of Maya, forcing her body to propel forward. "Stay close." She looked back at Harris, her voice strained. "We can't lose momentum. This mission isn't over yet." Jack felt a surge of admiration. Maya was defying the odds. "You're incredible," he muttered, glancing at her. Her spirit, even in this agony, sparked something inside him, something that amplified his own determination. But as they reached a small clearing, filled with thick underbrush and dense shadows, they stumbled upon something unexpected. The glow of a campfire flickered at the edge of the clearing, the faint sound of voices filtering through the dark. "Hold up," Jack whispered, raising a hand to stop the group. His gut churned. It felt wrong, but they had to know. "Let us check it out." And just as they prepared to move forward, his instincts screamed something was off about this place, and they weren't alone. He exchanged glances with Harris and Maya, both looking anxious, yet fiercely hopeful. They were warriors, and in this unknown shadow, the fate of their mission hung in the balance. What awaited them beyond the trees, and would they be ready for what lay ahead? Jack held his breath, the tension crackling in the air as he shifted, ready to pull them back if anything felt amiss. They stood at the border of light and darkness, the flickering campfire casting strange shadows against the trees. It was like a beacon, calling out with warmth but concealing dangers only nature could know. "Maya, stay close," Jack said, his voice barely above a whisper. He could see her struggling, every movement a testament to her will. There was a strength in her expression, though. Even hurt, she couldn't be underestimated. The voices grew clearer, punctuated by laughter that felt foreign in the surrounding chaos. Jack's instincts shifted from protection to curiosity as they crept closer. What could they find here? Allies? Or more threats hiding behind the glow? As they rounded a tree, they caught sight of 6 soldiers gathered around the fire. They were wearing unmarked uniforms, a mix of camo and tactical gear. They looked no older than Jack and his team, their faces illuminated by the dancing flames. The laughter faded, replaced by low murmurs that carried weight across the clearing. "What do you think?" Harris whispered, eyes darting between Jack and the others. "We can't risk being spotted." "Let us gather intel first," Jack replied, his mind racing. He needed to assess the situation quickly. Suddenly, one of the soldiers turned slightly, catching a glimpse of movement. "Who's there?" he shouted, standing abruptly, hand reaching for his weapon. "Fall back," Jack commanded urgently, ready to retreat into the trees. Panic surged through him, but before they could vanish, a voice rang out from the group, firm yet calm. "Wait! We're not enemies." A woman stepped forward, her eyes sharp and assessing. She looked young, but there was a confidence about her. "We saw your helicopter. We know you're in trouble." Jack hesitated, heart thudding in his chest. Trust was a dangerous game, especially now. "How do we know you're not just another faction looking to take us down?" "Because we're here to help." She gestured to her group, each of them now alert and focused. "Our intel says the enemy has been tracking you. We've been waiting to make contact." Maya, despite her injuries, stepped beside Jack, her expression fierce. "What do you want from us? Why would you put yourselves in danger for complete strangers?" The woman met her gaze, unwavering. "We want you to join us. We have a plan to hit them before they get you." Jack felt a cautious spark of hope, but it was also wrapped in uncertainty. Could they trust these people? Were they really allies in disguise, or was this a trap? "First, we need to tend to Maya," Jack said, scanning the faces around the fire. "She needs medical attention." "I can help," the woman offered. "But we need to move. They'll be looking for you." With a glance at Maya, Jack felt a weight in his chest. She was strong, but he could see the pain lingering behind her bravado. "What do you think, Maya? Is this worth the risk?" "No more running," she said fiercely, her voice steady despite the pain. "Let us take the fight to them." The resolve in her eyes ignited a fire within Jack. This was a choice that would pivot their mission entirely. It felt reckless, but it also felt right. They had a shot, a slim one, but still a shot. "All right, lead the way," he said, making a decision that would direct their course. As they followed the group back into the shadows, Jack's heart raced. This could be their chance, or it could be the biggest mistake of their lives. But as they faded into the night, one thought echoed in his mind: what kind of warriors were they really? Tomorrow could change everything, but today, they were still fighting against the darkness together. What awaited them in this new alliance, and how would they face the growing storm on the horizon? The fire's glow faded behind them as Jack and Maya moved cautiously through the trees, heartbeats sinking with each step. The group of soldiers led the way, one of them keeping a watchful eye behind, while the others whispered sharp, hurried strategies. Every rustle of leaves sent shivers down Jack's spine, but he acknowledged the truth in Maya's fierce words: they had to stop running. "Stay quiet, and follow my lead," the woman said, her voice steady amidst the tension. Jack couldn't help but admire her composure. He glimpsed at Maya, whose face was set in determination, but he could see the toll it took on her. He wasn't sure how far they had to go, but pushing through this darkness was the only option. "Do you trust them?" Maya whispered, leaning closer as they slipped between ferns and underbrush. Jack considered that. Trust had become a fleeting thing. "I don't know yet. But we have no choice if we want to survive." He could feel her tense next to him, but her grip on his arm was steady. "Just keep your guard up, all right?" They emerged into a slightly larger clearing, where the group stopped abruptly. A small, dilapidated cabin stood before them, shadows seeping from the cracks in its weathered wooden walls. A flickering lantern glowed inside, and the smell of something cooking teased Jack's senses. It felt both inviting and ominous, like a mixed signal of safety and danger. "We'll patch her up inside," the woman said, breaking the silence as she turned to face the group. "Carter, you take the first watch. The rest, help me with Maya." Jack's breath hitched slightly as they began moving toward the cabin. He hadn't realized how badly he wanted to see Maya free from her pain, to have her safe and well again. It was that flicker of hope, the promise of tomorrow, that made the weight on his chest a little lighter. Inside, the cabin's dim light revealed rough-hewn furniture and scattered maps littering a large table. A flicker of movement caught Jack's eye as another young man approached, medical supplies under his arm. He had kind, dark eyes that spoke of experience, despite his youthful demeanor. "Glad you made it," he said, setting down the supplies. "She's going to need stitches. First, we'll clean it up." "Don't you dare hurt her," Jack said, the protectiveness flooding back. "I mean it." "We'll be gentle," the medic replied with a calm smile. "I promise." Maya sank slowly onto a wooden stool, wincing as she shifted. Jack's heart ached for her as he watched the medic move with ginger hands. He felt helpless, like he was on the sidelines as another fought for her. Maya met his gaze, her eyes steady despite her situation. "I'll be okay," she whispered, determination brightening her features. As the medic worked, the woman joined Jack at the table, spreading out the maps. "We need to strategize fast. The enemy won't take long to catch up." Jack focused on her words, pushing aside the anxiety gnawing at him. "What's the plan?" "First, we gather intel. We know their moves. We know how to counter their advances. The helicopter you flew in is likely on their radar now, but we have an advantage," she said, tracing the maps with urgency. "What advantage is that?" Jack prompted, curious and cautious. She looked at him, and he felt something shift in the air between them. "We have someone inside the combat pilot who flew that chopper. If we can reach him first, we can turn the tide." Jack could barely wrap his mind around that. A pilot they could trust? Someone who would help them strike back. But a nagging doubt crept into his thoughts. "And if it's a trap? Then we do what we have to," she said, a fierce light in her eyes. "But we can't let fear paralyze us. Not now. We'll take this fight to them. Together. Together." The word resonated in Jack's mind, stirring something greater than fear. It was a commitment, an alliance. Just then, the door creaked open, and a chill swept in, causing everyone to turn. "They're coming," Carter said urgently, his face pale. "We need to move now." Jack felt the weight of a choice descending on him. Every voice inside him screamed to protect Maya, but they were all in this together. This wasn't just his fight anymore, it was theirs. And with that thought, adrenaline surged. All right, what's next? Tomorrow might redefine their lives, but for tonight, the fight was on the edge of their fingertips. Would the pilot join their cause? Or would darkness cloud their chances again? The morning sun filtered through the cracked windows of the old cabin, casting slats of light that danced on the worn floorboards. It was a new day, but it came with the weight of uncertainty. Jack felt this heaviness more than ever. They had survived the night, but at what cost? Maya was recovering, her strength still flickering like a flame threatened by a cold wind. "Hey," he said softly, leaning against the wall beside her as she rested. "How are you feeling?" "I'll be all right," she replied with a brave smile, though Jack could see the effort it took her to maintain it. "All right, cut it," he said, his voice serious. "I need you to be strong. We all do." Her gaze steadied on him, the familiar fire igniting again. "We're in this together, right? No one else left behind." That was it. They were a team, and today would set the tone for their future. Jack pushed the door open wider, exposing their small group to the crystal morning air. The soldiers from last night had huddled together, murmurs of plans spilling into the open. Jack joined them, leading with confidence born from the bond they formed during the battle, the shared struggle, the hardships. "I know we've been thrown together in chaos," he started, addressing everyone gathered, "but this is our moment. We have intel that could change everything. We can turn the tide on the enemy today." Harris, a steadfast presence by his side, nodded firmly. "But we have to be smart about this. We can't operate like before." Jack took a breath, feeling the weight of their fears hanging in the air. "Agreed. We gather what we can from the maps and scout our way closer to the enemy base while keeping a low profile." He turned to the woman from their new allies. "What can you tell us about the layout?" She stepped up, unfurling the maps with careful precision, revealing red markings indicating enemy positions. We know their patrol routes. If we move strategically through the forest, we can avoid detection. But we'll need a distraction. Jack felt the tension weave through the room like thread, binding them closer. That's where our pilot comes in. Maya pulled herself up, determination replacing her earlier fatigue. Let me do it. I can create a diversion from the air while you all move in on the ground. Jack's heart thundered. You're still hurt. It's too risky. Like you said, Jack. We're in this together. He paused, processing her bravado intertwined with genuine concern. She was right, of course. This wasn't about one person anymore, but every single one of them. All right, then we strategize how to protect you. I won't let anything happen to you again. With every plan laid out, energy shifted in the room, fueled by purpose rather than fear. They rehearsed tactics, calculated risks, and reaffirmed their trust in one another. Jack felt lighter in spirit, knowing they were bound by a collective will. As they prepared to move, Jack felt Maya's arm brush against his. No turning back now, huh? She said playfully, though her eyes held depth. Nope. We pushed through. On the move to their rendezvous point, the world outside quickly fell into familiar patterns: the rustling leaves, faint murmurs of their mission, every eye straining to find the right path forward. Jack led them through the forest, every crack of a twig sending adrenaline racing. This was it, they reached the edge of an open clearing, the air thick with anticipation. Stay sharp, Jack instructed, eyes scanning the distance. Maya climbed onto a nearby rise, readying her equipment. If I can just get a visual on their positions, we can start the distraction. You'll be safe down there. The moment hung heavy as she prepared, a mix of excitement and dread swelling inside Jack. Just stay low, and don't engage unless you have to, he reminded her. Got it. With moments to spare, she took to the sky, the whir of blades slicing through the air a comforting yet terrifying sound. Go, go, go. Jack commanded to the rest of the team, who moved swiftly through the brush, cutting closer to the enemy lines. From above, Jack watched Maya swoop and dive, a fearless force of nature. The enemy began to react, confusion rippling through their ranks. It felt like the world was spinning at the tip of his fingers. Now, Jack urged, and they charged forward, keeping low against the underbrush. The team moved with newfound resolve, united in purpose. Gunfire erupted, but Jack guided them expertly, keeping their heads down and spirits high. Focus on your targets, don't think, just react. The adrenaline surged with every returning volley, but the camaraderie drowned out the overwhelming chaos. They fought like lions, staying cohesive in the tumult that surrounded them. As Jack turned, the glimmer of victory lit their path. Hold the line. He shouted, watching as each team member fought bravely, sensing a shift in the air. The trust they had cultivated melded into something invincible. In the haze, Jack spotted a silhouette near the enemy's vulnerable point. That's our mark. He yelled. With a final burst of energy, they dove in, strong and fearless. This was the moment they would unshackle their pasts, fight for each other, and redefine what it meant to be a team. As they pushed forward, a sense of clarity wrapped around them. This battle wasn't just about missions, it was about the unbreakable bonds they had formed. Together, they were unstoppable, each step echoing a promise that nothing could separate them. He glanced up to see Maya flying overhead, her presence a beacon of hope, and he knew they would emerge stronger from the flames. Trust had forged their hearts, unity would guide their action, and hope would light their way. And as the final shots rang out, piercing the dense air of conflict, Jack breathed deep. They had each other stronger together than they could ever be apart. Today marked the beginning of their new legacy, comrades in arms, warriors forged in fire, and a family battling through the storm. He smiled, feeling that intangible spirit rise within him. They would fight for each other, they were more than soldiers. They were everything. As the dust began to settle, they would soar together into the next chapter wherever that may lead. But the day was still young, and their story was far from over. Subscribe now to not miss the next exclusive adventures. Hit that like button to empower us further, it means the world. Comment how you felt about this transformation and share your thoughts. And don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need this spark of hope and teamwork in their lives. You need to show your support. Only true fans understand how crucial this moment is.